take 3. Or for those of you who have, do you show your palm in American Sign Language? Or if it's this way? I think it's this way for the numbers. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. There you go. Didn't know you were in sign language today, did you? Okay, this is Dr. Pitt, 210. How are you? I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to let you know that I have all of Module 2 taken care of and graded. If you do not see something from Module 2 graded, please check your email if I have emailed you about it. If not, then if you do see nothing in the grade, email me and let me know that you see nothing on your side. Just one piece of information. I have graded a few discussion boards. Remember that you need to respond to at least 2 other students in your discussion boards. I have seen some coming in with only one post, and that was yours. Or 2. Yours and responded to somebody else. Make sure it's 2. It's an automatic deduction of 2 points if you do not respond to anybody, an automatic deduction of 1 point if you only respond to one person. So make sure that you are getting your points. I have gone in and commented on a couple of discussion boards on section 1, I think. I think that's where I was in this morning. And one of the things that I wanted to raise as a thought process as you are thinking about that discussion board post, if you've already responded, you don't have to go in and, re-respond or anything to this. But when we think about middle age and think about a longer middle age time period, actually, there is research out there that has shown that it's kind of like a happiness scale or a satisfaction scale, life satisfaction scale. And it's on a curve, and the curve goes like this. So it's like a little smiley face. And middle age is down at the bottom for that satisfaction, that life satisfaction. So we're happier when we're kids, and then as we age, we become less happy. And then as we grow older, we become more happy. So it's a little smiley face. So it's interesting that the author looks at this as a prolonged middle age and that that's a good thing. And if we look at what research has said, that middle age portion of our life is not always the happiest part of our lives. So, just an idea. And also, when we think about aging, I want you to think about this as we go forward. Why is it that we look at it binarily? So why do we look at it only in 2 things, young and old? That's all we do. We're either young or we're old. And we're old if we are older than the young. And everybody's younger than me, and I'm old. So if you think about it in that context, why can't we take that out into removing the binary thought process of aging and putting that on a continuum? That we don't call anybody young and old anymore, that we call them 20 years old or 48. Then, of course, we'd have to identify ourselves as 48. I don't have a problem with identifying as 48, but there are some people who do. So just a thought process. That was just something I thought of as I was reading through some of the responses. All right, so next week, our look ahead, you have Module 4 coming up and giving you a little break on journal entries. You do not have a journal entry next week. You do have a discussion board, and you do have an extended response. And you're going to be looking at chronic disease. So for those who know the difference between chronic disease and acute illness, you can just tune me out until the end of this video. But for those of you who do not, acute illness are those times in our lives when we're younger where we have a cold, and then we have another cold, and then we have the flu, and then we have a cold, then we have an ear infection, and then we have a cold, and we have the flu again. So as we are younger, you'll notice that you may have been sicker more while you were younger than you are now as a college student or as an individual who's taking this class. So if you look at that and you think of if children are sicker or those acute illnesses, we don't have as much. Now, there is chronic disease in youth, and diabetes is actually one of the ones that we are really keeping an eye on, not type 1, type 2. So if we look at the prevalence of chronic disease, though, in younger individuals, there I use the word younger, sorry, people who are under the age of 18, not as prevalent. So as we grow older and we start to see that middle age part of our lives, we are not having as many colds. We're not getting the flu as much, regardless of the fact whether we got a shot or not. We're starting to see all these acute illnesses are starting to just kind of dwindle down a little bit more. But the prevalence and the potential for chronic disease is starting to rise. And those are those instances of cancer, diabetes, type 2. Type 1 is obviously a completely different animal. It is a chronic disease, but different. Dementia. We made up a whole new word, dementia. That sounded terrible. Dementia, there we go. Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. So if you start looking at the prevalence of that, chronic disease starts to rise more during our adult years. And chronic disease is actually going to be, if you look at your top 10 lists of causes of death in the United States, it takes up probably maybe 6 to 8 slots. Accident is one top 10, and suicide is another top 10. The rest are Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, pneumonia, actually. So pneumonia is obviously a virus, and that's an acute illness that develops into something more. So yeah, just look at your top 10, and if you see in there diseases, those are your chronic diseases. So just keeping that in mind when you're answering the question, extended response for next week. Okay, I wanted it to be short, and it's 6 minutes. Going on 7, so I will stop here. I hope you have a good weekend. Get out there and enjoy this Friday. I'm not sure if Saturday is going to be much better. Let's look at the official watch because it's 43 degrees right now with a high of 51 today. However, tomorrow, 47 and 45, not too bad. But then there's snow on Monday and 29. Like I said last week, sick of snow. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody, and I will be talking at you again next week. If you have any questions, let me know. I will not have office hours on Thursday. If I didn't mention that, did I mention it already? Don't think I did. I will not have office hours on Thursday from 11 to 1. So that's all. I'm an email away at pitt@finley.edu. Phone number 419-434-5637. Office 215 West Folk. Talk to you later.